Alright, good morning one and all. My name is Somil and welcome to Advanced Python Programming. In this tutorial, we are going to develop a nice framework like Django and SQLAlchemy. What I mean by that is basically we will implement our own state-of-the-art type checking method. So like positive integer, float and something like that. So let me just show you a quick demo and then we'll jump into action. So I have a class here. So I say this class has to be a positive integer only and I say dot check and whatever the value you supply to this class. So if I run this and show you what happens, let me run this. The object is created. But if I do something crazy here, if I try to give it negative values, it won't like it. Here you see assert value must be positive. So this is here our own built-in stuff that we have developed, state of the art. Similarly for the function, you can do an annotation. So here you can see I'm just annotating with like colon positive integer. So if someone supplies negative integer, it won't like it, right? So let me show you that. This is not like basic, of course. I mean, this is like an advanced level. So here you can see value must be positive and so on, string, float, everything, our own framework. So this is our own framework language that I just developed. I want to teach you guys now. So let's get started. Let me erase all of that and give me one sec. Let me just get ready for that because it's gonna be like 100 lines of code. But I'll try to keep it short and sweet and try to explain you each and everything. So hopefully, yeah. So yeah, let's get started. So very first thing that I need is from function tools. So I'm gonna say from function tools, I'm gonna say import wraps. Then I'm gonna say I need to import from inspect. I'm gonna say import signature. All right, once that is done, I need to define my contract class. So what I mean by that is basically my custom checker. So I'm gonna say class. So I'm going to say my contract class, which basically inherits from object. All right. So one of the very first thing, I'm going to define a class method, right? And I'm going to say a method known as check. All right. This basically will take a value. Put a pass in there for now. Now what I need to do is basically I need to define my own custom type class because I'm gonna do inheritance, right? So let's say class. This is gonna inherit from contract. So basically I'll say type as none here. Right now let's define our integer class. So this is my integer class, right? Again, oops. Class integer. Okay, so what this will do is basically let me complete this one also. So type is none. So I'm gonna say class method. All right, I'm gonna define a method known as check. This check has to take a value, right? Now once the value is there, what I want to do is I want to do an assert. So oops. All right, assert. What I want to assert, I want to check the instance. So what I want to check, I want to check the value that I'm passing or the user is passing. Oops. So I want to check the value that the user passes and I want to compare against the class type that I've just defined on my type class. Let me make sure this is capital, right? All right, so that's my type, and if something goes wrong, if the type is not equal, I want to say expected type. Want to use some string formatting right there. I want to say self. Oops, I want to say what's happening. All right, let me just make sure my video is on. Yep, that's on. All right, so that's what this class will do basically. Now it's just a piece of cake for us. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to inherit this integer class from a contract class. I can say type equals to it, right? And this will basically do all the type checking for me. Let us define one more type, our own data type. So I'm just going to copy out all of that. All right, so I'm going to say now string, right? String. Now let's test it. Now see guys, this is amazing. You're creating your own framework language, you know. So So let's check it. Let's try with an integer. So let's say integer. So integer, whatever. All right. So if I run it, won't run, of course. I mean, I did not say dot check. My bad, because it's gonna look for this method, right? So here you can see we don't have any problem. But if I do something like this, oops, my bad. Now it should give you an error. Oops, it did not give you an error. Why? Alright, I just figured out my mistake. This has to inherit from type. Sorry, my bad. So let's do that. This is gonna inherit from type. Alright, so now basically it's gonna inherit all the values, and now let's try to basically run it and see if this works. So this should give error because I'm passing in so expected an int. So that works perfectly, our contract system or our own framework language that we just defined. So for integer it works fine. Now let us define a couple of more data types so we can use it in the class and stuff. Right, so I'm going to define float. Let's say this is also going to inherit from type. Say type equals. All right, so beautiful. So we have our integer float string. Now let us define our own custom data type. So let's say I want to have a data type, or I want to do a type checking known as positive integer. So I'm going to define positive first. All right. So what I'm going to do is basically this positive, which will basically inherit from contract. All right. Basically, again, I'm going to define a class method here. So basically, I'll do that checking method. First, I'll check for the positive stuff. So I'm gonna say if value, or I can directly say something like assert. I'll say if the assert of the value, if it is greater than 0, it's fine. Otherwise, say value should be greater than 0. All right. So that's done. Now what I need to do is basically just give a super method. Super check. That's fine. Change this to class. Oops, all right, lovely guys. Now let us define our own methods, as I said, known as positive integer, right? Which will basically check for positive integer only. I mean, this is not for beginner, right? I mean, this is not at all for beginners. So I'm gonna say positive integer, positive integer. Now look at the magic, guys. I'm to use so just gonna use inheritance and voila. So I'm gonna inherit this from integer and inherit this from a positive. Oops, and inherit this from positive. All right, so lovely. What I'm gonna do next is basically just say pass. That's all. Now let us try our custom defined data type or type check. So positive integer dot check, and I'll show you how we can use this. So this should be working fine because here you can see no errors. But if I do something crazy, it should crash, or it should give me a message known as assert error, right? Assert value should be greater than 0. Lovely guys, we just did it. All right, let's move forward and define a couple of more data types. Let's define a class known as negative, which will take only negative integers and so on. So negative, oops. So you got the idea what I'm trying to say, right? So this was again gonna inherit from contract. Oops, my bad. All right. So what I need to do is again I need to say a class method, and I'm gonna define a check. I'll say assert. What I want to assert is basically if the value is less than 0, that means the number is should be negative. If not, then it should assert an error. Value should be nega negative, right? Don't forget the super method, right? Remove that. All right, lovely. Now let us define our own data type, that is negative integers. So negative integer. So this negative integer has to be an integer, and then it has to be a negative. That's it. Our data type has been defined. Lovely. You see. Excuse me. So now let us define one more data type, that is nothing but string. So we already have string. If you observe, we have string. But what if someone passes like a string, a non-empty string? I mean, we don't want to. The length should be at least greater than 1, or it should not be equal to 0. So or what I mean to say is basically it has to have some value. So let us define that. What should be the correct name? Positive string or what? Just say string. It's fine. I mean, I can just say length is greater than 0, and let's just say positive string for now. We can change the name. All right, let's just pause string. I'm gonna inherit from contract. All right, so I'm gonna define my custom class method right there. All right, that's my class method. I want to define a check. What I want to check if the length. Okay, if the length of come on. If the length of the value is equal to 0, I wanna say type error or whatever, just raise an error, or yeah, type error is fine. All right, else what? All right, else pass. This is as simple as that. Now let us define our own string. So this will inherit from string, and of course I'm gonna give my custom type check. What was that? Pause string. Yeah, perfect. Let's try to check it. All right, first of all, let's give some string. This should work. Should not give any errors. I forgot the colon. Typed error positive string takes no argument. That's. Did I miss something? Says type error. Positive string takes no argument. Positive string takes no argument. So I'm passing an argument, but it's saying no arguments. Why? Maybe I just forgot the super method. Is it the super method? I think so. It takes a value. Oh, I should say dot check. Always I make mistakes. All right, so you see, no problem. Now let us try the no string. Error. Oh no, why? Let me correct this. Maybe greater than equal to whatever 2, and if I just say 1, should give error. Hopefully no. Something is wrong. I mean, you got the idea, right? I mean, how I have to do it. I mean, there is some problem in the logic, I suppose. I can correct it, hopefully, if this works. Let's see. So I'm gonna do assert, and I'm gonna say if the length of value, so if it is greater than equal to 1, if greater than equal to 2, then it's fine. If not, then say string length hash. Wait, why am I doing? Oh yeah, string length has to be greater than 2. All right. So this should be fine. Let me just check. This should work, hopefully. So yep, there you go, guys. String length has to be greater than 2. So if I increase that, should not give me any problems. Voila. There you go. So let's just continue on this journey. All right. So let's just focus on these many data types right now. And what I'm gonna do is basically, so now I want to show you something really cool. So let's say you have a class, whatever class you were writing, your normal programming, right? Your object oriented. So now what you can do is object. What a person can do is basically you can just say you can write your init function like this. Let's say name, right? You can say self dot name is equal to, now this name cannot be negative, right? So you can say positive string dot check name, right? So you're seeing the application, how you can use this in your day-to-day life. All right, so let's try one and see if that works first of all. Remember, this has to take a name. This should work, hopefully. Yep. Yeah, you can see the memories are allocated. But if I do something like this crazy, it won't allow me. Here you see the length has to be greater than, the length has to be greater than 2. Our own custom type checking, right? Amazing. Out of the box, guys. Out of the box. Guys, you can also implement regular expression in this. So let's say the string, if you supply a string, but I can supply a string like this also, right? Now you will say, now I'm showing you the true power. This works, but it should not work. This is not a string. So you can supply regular expression string. You can create a class and you can say re.compile, and if there is some issue, then it'll like generate an error, like out of the box. Like I'm just like showing you all the possibilities that you can do. Now one more thing that I want to show you before I end this video. Wouldn't it be cool, let's say you're not writing a class, let's say insi inside function format. My bad. What's going on? All right, so what I want to say is basically, right, so let me just first call, and of course it's gonna work inside the function to do whatever. What I'm trying to say is basically, what if you want to implement type checking like this, like just by annotation? So let's say I say positive string, or let's say positive integer. Yeah, I want to do something like this. I mean, automatically it will do a type checking if I just say colon and stuff, but it does not work, right? So how can I make it work? Let's do that also now. Now we are just like playing with the code. We are enjoying programming. We love Python. So let's let's go into more details. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define my custom decorator function, and I'm also going to use dunder call method. I have a video on that, so check that out. So I'm going to define a method known as check, which is going to inherit from object. What I'm going to do is basically just going to define my constructor. This constructor will take a function, so self.func, right? All right. So guys, once that is done, what I will do is basically I want to write my decorator, so I'm going to call my dunder call method, right? In the decorator, what I will do is basically I'm going to define some signature. I'll tell you what signature is exactly about. Let me make sure I've defined. So from inspect import signature, right? So what this will do, let me show you what I mean by signature first of all. So I'm going to create a signature first. So self.signature, and I'm going to say signature. Oh man, come on. So I'm going to call signature, and I'm going to pass that function whatever I, right? Let me just show you what happens. All right, alrighty. Oops for that. All right. So now, if I want to implement this annotation method, I'm gonna say just check and see what happens for the signature, what it does basically. So see what happens, signature A and positive. So basically I get the annotation, right? And the variable that I'm passing in. Interesting, right? So what I can do is now I can implement some logic inside that. So I want to do is basically I want to create my annotation. So self dot function. So ANNOTATIONS. All right. So I have defined my annotation. I'm gonna say define my bound. So POUND. So what I'm gonna do is basically self dot signature dot bind. Not bound. So self.signature.bind. What I want to bind is basically I'm going to bind the args and quads, whatever the you pass into the function, right? Let me print this also so we can see what exactly is going on. Let's run this. So see what's happening. Signature, this is your signature. When annotation, so basically your class annotation, right, in a dictionary format, so I can plug in value and then we are just creating whatever value you pass in to or whatever. So I'll implement some logic here, so basically which will call those method like positive integers and stuff like that. So this video is just getting too long, so wanna wrap it quickly. So for name val and bound arguments dot items, for that items the name is there in annotation, that is if it is integer, float, positive and whatever. Annotation name dot check val, so it's gonna call the check method. If not, if anything goes wrong in that class, the assert method will work, otherwise return the function without squawks. Wow. All right, so what happens is if I run this, this should work because there is no issue with this positive integer stuff. All right, now what happens if I give something like crazy? Should crash or should give error. Value should be greater than 0, right? Amazing. So I would wrap up my video right here. This is right. So this is how you define your own framework languages. You can also, if you want to go like one step more ahead, I'm in my next video when I get time, if you love this, I can make a video with this with descriptors. So and descriptors and meta classes of course. So you can like, that's like completely a next level of programming. So thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. If so, do give a like. And I mean, this is not for beginners, of course. So if you have any more questions or anything you did not like understand, comment your question in the comments and I will get back to you as quick as possible. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. My name is Somil. I teach cool Python projects and Python programming on my YouTube channel. Once again, thank you for love and support and see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Goodbye.